Ever felt like finding your soulmate is like searching for a needle in a galaxy-sized haystack? You're exhausted. You've tried dating apps, blind dates, even manifesting under the full moon, only to end up with another dead-end connection or ghosting story that stings. That heavy silence in your apartment at night, the way your phone's glow feels harsher with every unanswered goodnight text. Yeah, I've been there too. Let's talk about Sarah. She spent years chasing perfect partners, gorgeous, successful, Instagram-worthy. But every time it crumbled. One forgot her birthday to binge a video game. Another criticized her laugh. By the time she came to me, she whispered, "Maybe real love's just a fairy tale." Sound familiar? Here's the raw truth. Modern love often feels like chasing a desert mirage. You keep walking toward that shimmering promise of connection, but the ground keeps burning your feet. Disappointment, trust issues, that nagging voice saying, "What's wrong with me?" Worse yet, the fear you'll die alone because you refuse to settle for half-hearted relationships. But here's what most people miss. The struggle itself is a map. Those dead ends, they're redirecting you. The loneliness, it's clarifying what truly matters. And that ache for something real, that's your soul refusing to bargain. You're not lost. You're closer than you think. By the way, ever notice how the best love stories start when people stop searching? We'll dig into that next. Let's talk about why. Love feels harder than solving a puzzle blindfolded. Picture this, you're scrolling through endless profiles, swiping left on red flags, right on sparkly smiles. Each match feels like a lottery ticket. Maybe this one. But deep down it's exhausting, right? Like trying to catch smoke. Here's the thing, modern love isn't broken, it's just tangled. Think of dating apps as overloaded buffets. Too many options, too many flavors. You're overwhelmed. So you grab what's convenient, not what truly nourishes you. Ever ordered takeout when you're starving? That's how we date now. Quick fixes to fill an empty heart. And here's the kicker. We're all secretly chasing a fairy tale. The perfect partner? They don't smudge mascara crying during rom-coms. They don't forget anniversaries. But real love isn't a polished Instagram post. It's messy, awkward, and sometimes burns the toast. My friend Jake once ghosted someone because she laughed too loud. Turns out, he was terrified her joy would expose his own insecurities. We sabotage connections before they even start. Add ghosting, breadcrumbing, and situationships to the mix. It's no wonder trust feels like a rare Pokemon. But here's the twist. These struggles aren't roadblocks. They're mirrors. Every disappointment whispers, "You deserve better." Every mismatch screams, "Keep refining your compass." The ache for real love, that's not naivety. It's your soul's GPS. And spoiler alert, it might be guiding you somewhere unexpected. Picture this. You're following that soul GPS, eyes locked on the screen. But what if the map itself is broken? We've all wandered into love's version of a jungle. Traps disguised as shortcuts, quicksand masquerading as solid ground. Take Maya, a client who kept chasing emotionally unavailable guys. "I just want someone who stays," she'd say. Yet every time a decent partner appeared, she'd panic and ghost them. Why? The real trap wasn't her choices, it was the buzzing static of unworthiness she'd carried since her parents' divorce. Her fear of being alone, a rusty cage she mistook for shelter. Ever notice how dating apps feel like scrolling through a vending machine at 3 a.m.? Desperate hunger, stale options. That's trap number one, mistaking convenience for connection. You swipe, craving the dopamine ding of a match, but each click numbs you a little more. Then there's the checklist curse, demanding a partner who's 6'2", writes poetry, and loves your chaotic energy. Unreal expectations aren't standards, they're walls. But the sneakiest trap, the lie that love should hurt to be real. Sleepless nights, decoding texts, the metallic taste of anxiety when they're distant. You've been taught this is passion. It's not. It's your nervous system screaming, danger. True love isn't a roller coaster. It's the steady warmth of a campfire. Here's the kicker. Every time you settle for crumbs or chase someone who's almost right, you're not failing. You're rehearsing. Those mismatches, they're sandpaper smoothing your edges, teaching you what hell yes actually feels like. The ache isn't proof love's impossible. It's your soul sanding off the rust, one awkward date at a time. But here's what happens when the ache of loneliness gets too loud. You start picking wilted flowers because you're scared the garden's empty. Think about that time you stayed up refreshing a dead chat thread, clinging to someone who only texted you up at midnight, or the way you nodded through their jokes that weren't funny, laughed at red flags dressed as confetti. Ever eaten a whole bag of chips when you're starving? That's what settling feels like, temporary fullness, but your soul stays hungry. I once sketched for a client who described her ex as warm laundry. Not firework sparks, just lukewarm comfort. She stayed for years, terrified of the silence after the breakup. But silence has its own sound, the creak of a door closing so something real can walk in. We've all been there. The dating app matches that fizzle like left open. The situationship that smells like last night's takeout. Convenient, but never nourishing. Loneliness whispers lies, this is all you deserve. But your hands weren't meant to hold scraps. Every time you shrink your heart to fit someone's half effort, you're not avoiding pain, you're just borrowing it from future you. True story. The moment my client stopped accepting breadcrumbs, she met someone who brought the whole bakery, not perfection, but presence. Because settling isn't just about who you choose, it's the quiet erosion of believing you're worth choosing back. So next time loneliness tries to rush you into a good enough, remember, sandpaper prepares you for polish. Those rehearsals? They're teaching your nervous system the difference between a placeholder and a home. But here's the catch. Those chains from past heartbreaks, they don't just vanish when you decide to move on. Imagine dragging an invisible anchor through every new connection, the way your shoulders tense when someone cancels plans last minute, or how your laugh goes flat mid-conversation bracing for disappointment. I once worked with a client who'd memorized the sound of her ex's dismissive sigh. For years, she'd flinch at any hint of criticism, convinced love meant walking on eggshells. Sound familiar? Healing isn't about forgetting the burn. It's rewiring how you carry the heat. Picture each old wound as a locked cuff. Some links rust from resentment. They never deserved me. Others clamp tight with fear. What if I'm too broken? But here's the secret. You hold the key to every single one. Start with the loudest chain. Maybe the betrayal that left your trust in splinters. Sit with it. Not to dwell, but to ask, what's this pain trying to protect me from now? I'll never forget the woman who described her first date after divorce. How the clink of ice in her partner's glass triggered memories of empty bottles and emptier promises. Instead of bolting, she paused, breathed, realized this wasn't the same person, the same story. That's the moment chains snap, when you stop letting yesterday's ghosts dictate today's possibilities. This isn't positivity toxic, it's practice. Like retraining muscles weakened by doubt. With each small act of courage, setting a boundary, voicing a need, sitting through the silence without filling it with what-ifs, you melt another link. Suddenly you're lighter, freer, ready to recognize the hands that won't reach for those old chains, but help you build something new instead. That lightness you feel, it's not just freedom from old chains, it's space to finally see the truth about soulmates. Let's break the myths together. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. There's one perfect person made for you. But here's the thing. Soulmates aren't puzzles missing pieces. They're artists painting over old sketches. Last year, a client told me she'd given up after chasing fairy tale instant sparks. Months later, she met someone who felt normal. Coffee dates without butterflies, text replies that took hours. And yet, when her dad got sick, That ordinary person showed up with groceries and stayed up holding her phone charger as she cried. Real connection isn't fireworks. It's the steady glow of a lantern in the dark. We crave Hollywood perfection, the grand gestures, the flawless compatibility. But chasing the one traps us in two lies: that love should be effortless and that loneliness means failure. Truth. Those mismatched coffee mugs clinking at dawn, the off-key duet in traffic, the silent walk where hands brush but don't clasp, that's where magic hides. Real soulmates don't erase your scars. They trace them gently and whisper, "Me too." So next time you're swiping past profiles or replaying old conversations, ask, am I seeking a fantasy? Or someone who'll dance in the rain of my imperfect reality? But how do you invite that kind of grounded magic into your life? It starts not with grand gestures, but with the quiet rhythm of your days. Think of your morning routine as a love letter to your future self. The sip of bitter coffee that grounds you, the scribbled journal entry naming what you truly crave. Laughter after burnt toast breakfasts, not six-pack abs. I once worked with a client who wrote, "I am worthy of quiet mornings" on her bathroom mirror. 3 months later, she met her partner while arguing over the last croissant at a bakery, flour dusting their noses like snow. Here's the secret ritual no one tells you. Practice being loved. Now. When you water your plants, whisper, "I nurture you." When rain ruins your plans, dance anyway, even if it's just tapping your foot under the table. These acts aren't trivial. They're signals, like lighting a candle in your soul's window saying, "I'm here, I'm ready." Try this tonight. Leave your phone charging in another room. Sit with the hum of the fridge, the itch to scroll, the ache to be chosen. Breathe through it. That's how you rewrite the story of neediness, not by filling voids, but by softening around their edges. And if you're rolling your eyes thinking, "This won't fix my terrible dates," hold that thought. Habits aren't magic spells. They're handprints on foggy glass, slowly revealing patterns. One man I know started ending every shower by saying, "I'm done chasing." 4 weeks later, his boring coffee date stayed past closing, both admitting they hated hiking, but loved bad karaoke. Your soulmate isn't waiting for you to become perfect. They're waiting for you to become present. In grocery lines, traffic jams, the raw beauty of Tuesday. So tomorrow, do this. Compliment one stranger sincerely. Not the barista's looks, but their laugh. Not the cashier's speed, but their patience. Watch how the world leans in closer when you notice its heartbeat, and who starts noticing yours. So here's the secret you've been carrying all along. Your soulmate isn't hiding in some filtered version of perfection. They're right here, in the messy, unposed life you're already living. Remember when my client Sarah nearly cancelled our session, convinced love was a fairy tale for other people? 3 months after embracing her quirky morning tea rituals and laughing at her own terrible karaoke, she met Jamie while arguing over the last croissant at a bakery. Real magic lives in those cracks. Think of your journey like reassembling a mosaic. Every awkward date, every solo movie night, every time you chose self-respect over settling. Those aren't failures. They're the tiles showing you where to press next. You've already done the hardest part, showing up. Now imagine this: the warmth of hands that fit yours without forcing. The relief of someone who hears your silences like lyrics. That's what waits when you stop chasing perfect and start nurturing real. Your path starts the moment you trust this truth. You're ready, not when you lose 10 pounds, not when your trust issues vanish. Now, today, with chipped nail polish and mismatched socks and all, so let's make it official. Click the link below to book your soulmate sketch session, your first step into a story where love doesn't ask you to shrink. And when you meet them, tell me about the ordinary moment when everything finally made sense.